when Meta just decided to basically cancel our ad account. Our ad account got banned, and 70% of our revenue was gone. I've had times in my agency where we were down to our last $1,000 in our account, and our conversation was like, "What the hell are we gonna do now?" A founder has burned the midnight oil. They've put in their own money. They hurt differently than just some metrics on a spreadsheet. And within 3 months, we went back to like $30,000 in revenue and then go up from there. The biggest businesses that I've worked with, I've actually found them through pure cold outreach. Rejection is hard because out of 1,000 emails, 999 of them will be either a no, a no reply, a no open, or even like absolutely freaking not. Screw you, get out of my inbox, you're a nobody. I'm a person that I don't like excuses.
Welcome to Entrepreneur in Action. Today's guest is Sandra Stepan, e-commerce growth expert and founder of Snapadvantage. Sandra, welcome. I'm excited to learn more about you and your business.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's an honor to be here today. I'm excited to share more. I'm the founder of Snapadvantage, which is a digital marketing agency. We're actually located in Ontario, Canada. And we started about 8 years ago. We started doing lead generation for companies that are looking to bring in more leads and business. And because my co-founder, who's also my husband, and myself, we are e-com owners as well, we recently transitioned into helping e-com brands scale by diversifying their traffic sources. A lot of companies are having a little bit of a hard time with ads. A lot of them are relying on one or two sources of traffic and sales. So having had those problems ourselves, we decided to help other companies as well.
Awesome. And I love it that you found the problem in your own business and then so you know the problem intimately and then you created the solution. So I'm your newest customer, Sandra, and I come to you to Snapadvantage and I say, I am having a tough time, like my ads they're not performing the way they used to perform. How can you help me solve the problem?
Wow, what a loaded question. But you are actually not the only person that has asked me quite literally the same question and quite a few times. So ads not performing can mean a lot of different things, right? So I've actually heard it before. Facebook ads don't work, Google ads don't work. They can work, or there's a chance that they don't work. First of all, we'll have to look at your entire funnel, because Facebook ads or Google ads in general, it's not just putting some creatives on a bidding platform and then hoping for the best, although that's definitely part of it a lot of the times. But there could be different reasons why they don't perform, right? So right now we're in the middle of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, for instance. It's end of November. So one of the reasons why your ads don't work, it could be because there's a fight for that inbox space or that feed space where everybody is sending emails, sending ads your customers' way. Everybody's fighting for that little bit of real estate that we call the screen. That can be one reason. Ads not working can also mean that maybe your ads are fatigued. Perhaps your audience have seen your ads way too many times and you need some fresh creatives. Ads not working could also mean your website conversion rate, right? So maybe people are clicking on your ads, but they're not converting on your website. So if you come to me and you say, hey, Sandra, my ads are not working, I will have to look at literally every step of the funnel, from your creative, your message, how your ad is looking for your different target audiences, to the moment they check out. And anything in between can be a reason why your ads are not working.
And then how do you help people solve this problem? I know that you've come from e-com yourself, so you've had to solve the problem in your own business. How do you find what moves the needle for the customers?
Yeah,
For
so
your customers who
actually,
come to you?
funny story, when I've had this problem in my own business, one of the biggest problems I've had was in 2019 and Q4, so at the end of October, when Meta just decided to basically cancel our ad account. Our ad account got banned and 70% of our revenue was gone. We could not do Meta ads anymore. So what I started doing is looking for alternative ways to bring in traffic and sales. So one of them being I'm spending more time on email and text marketing, influencers, content creators, all sorts of rewards programs, referral programs. SEO in a traditional sense, or in Pinterest. And there's actually so many channels that you can use as a brand. So one of the ways you can, one thing you can do as a brand is to see how you can diversify your traffic sources, because it may just be that what you're spending, what you're getting out of it, is what is the best you can do right now. Maybe you have reached that point where your ads are now going to perform a lot better, and there's no I guess I'll call it a reason, or there's no point in spending more money on ads. There's other ways to look at it too. So a lot of companies, I find, especially newer companies, are looking at ads very black and white. So they're looking at, I'm putting $1 into Meta ads and I have to make at least three, because that's going to cover my production costs or drop shipping costs, or my team, my expenses, my overhead, and so on. But they're not looking at the ads cost as a acquisition process. They're not looking at replenishing process. So there are some industries where you're actually maybe losing money on the front end, and but for the greater good. So one that comes to mind right now is cosmetics, right? So if you're thinking about buying a cream, eye cream, face cream, shampoo, whatever, that person that buys from you for the first time, they are going to replenish. So you, as a cosmetics company, which is an insanely competitive industry, may not get that 3x or 5x or 6x ROAS that you're dreaming of getting right away. But if you are able to at least cover the cost of your ads, and you have a really good follow-up system in place with your email and text marketing that goes out 12 months and beyond, you are going to make your money back by your customers replenishing your products, referring you to their friends and family, upselling, buying other products you have in store, and that makes sense for your business. So ads, it's a beast, right? Like the whole subject of ads is a beast. Again, there's so many reasons why they may or may not work for your business. One of the things that you can do is, again, look at the funnel, look at every piece of the funnel, try to deconstruct it, see where you can optimize. It may just be something as simple as we need to throw more creatives out. Right now, the companies that we work with, we're looking at anywhere from 10 to 100 creatives a week, depending on their ad budget, because Meta just likes fresh creatives. It may be something as simple as that, or it may be something as nuanced as we need to take care of our repurchase, replenishing, and referral process and a back-end process in order to make ads work for us.
I think that's such a important insight that you've highlighted there, that like just $1 in and $3 out, it could be in some sense that could be a more simplistic way of looking at things, which might not reflect what the actual value is that they could be getting out of their customer.
Exactly. And that used to be the case back in, when we started back in 2015, 2016, that was the case. It was very black and white. It was as easy as putting in $1 and getting 6, 7, 8, even as high as $12 out. It is no longer the case. Consumers, they don't buy the same way they used to a few years ago. They like to be educated. They like to be informed. They like to do their own research, and they want to feel like they're empowered when it comes to that decision making. So there's a lot of layers that come into play, but looking at it black and white, it's really, really hard to do with ads.
What's been the most surprising thing that you've ever changed about someone's either their ad campaign or their back end that got the result that you were looking for?
Good question. One that comes to mind actually was taking very polished studio made ads and just using user generated content. And this was back in the day when user generated content was not the standard. Right now it is the standard, but back in I believe this was in 2017, maybe 2018, we took one of our brands and we said our competitors were hiding behind the screen. So they were not putting their faces out, they were not putting the stories out. They focused a lot on the story of the product and what the product can do for their customers, which is obviously a huge part of it. But what we did is we took the founder and we created a video of him and we allowed him to tell his story, because the product that we're selling was actually related directly to the founder's story and the founder's problems that he has gone through. So that was number one. And then number two, for the same brand, we realized a lot of customers were sending really nice messages to the customer support team. And they're saying, thank you so much. This product has changed my life. It helped me, help my dad, and so on. So we got a customer service manager to say, hey, thank you so much for saying all of these beautiful things about our brand. By the way, can we ask you to do a video testimonial for us? We would love to be able to share your story with the world, run it on social media, and in return, we're going to give you X. Sometimes it's a chance to enter our draw. Sometimes it's a credit or like a gift card in the store, whatever made sense for that brand. So then we got people that were leaving testimonials, and literally I remember one of the top performing ads we did, it was this guy who was like literally laying back and he was just like talking like that on the phone, but he was so candid and it was his story and people related to him, and those ads performed so much better than studio polished ads. And I was like, okay, so from now on, user-generated content has to be something that we're doing for all the brands that we're working with, because people trust other people more than they trust polished ads by brands. They trust other people's stories and opinions and problems. They can relate to them. So it doesn't have to be the model. It doesn't have to be the studio. It can be, but real people, average Joe that had the same problem as you, that had a problem solved with that one product, will be a lot more relatable for your ads. So that was one of the, I would say, one of the most shocking things that I've learned. And again, this was way back before user generated content was the norm. Now it is the norm, or I like to think so.
Yeah, that's to me that's fascinating to get that insight, like historically, like where you were able to be on the cutting edge of seeing that change happen. And as you said, now that's the status quo, is that people are doing so many like very relatable, like this is my story, this is my problem, maybe this will help you too. What do you think is going to happen next? Where is the industry going in terms of like social media marketing or marketing in general for ecom?
I I think that the influencer marketing scene is not going to go away, not anytime soon. I mean, influencer marketing has been a thing for as long as the world has existed, right? So if you think historically speaking, like you're thinking even of like Buddha, he was an influencer, right? And all of those historic figures. So I think influencer marketing is not going to go away, but I think it's going to change. So for once, I think that micro influencers and micro content creators are going to prevail. I think that the world is starting to be a little bit sick and tired of the perfect, the polished, the we're so popular and we have millions of viewers and millions of followers type of persona. I think that's going to continue being very good with maybe perhaps bigger brands where you're using celebrities, just like brands have always done. But micro influencers that have a very niche audience, I think they're going to be even bigger than they are right now. You're looking at, honestly, your TikTok mom that is making food and she can place a product in her video. Along with that, I think that product placements are going to make a comeback. So when I'm thinking product placements, I'm thinking about movies, right? So you used to see like a Coca-Cola bottle in a movie. I think now product placements are going to make a little bit of a comeback because a lot of the videos that are super popular, especially on TikTok, are the videos where people are not necessarily presenting a product, but they're doing something else and people notice a product, right? So an example would be we're having this conversation right now and I'm posting it online and someone can be like, love your lipstick shade. Where'd you get our lipstick from, right? Or I could be talking to you and take out my lipstick and like kind of like reapply it. That would be a product placement. So I think that would be another trend. And a third one that I don't know if I'm loving it, but I do think AI influencers are going to be even bigger than they are right now. I think that people will know that they are AI influencers. That's going to be a tricky part of social media marketing where we are disclosing that they're not a real influencer, but people do follow AI influencers. People follow pet influencers, and pet influencers do things sometimes that are staged by their owners, and they know that it's not necessarily the pet that did something. People watch even right now like animated pet videos and they love it. So I do think AI influencers are going to be big. I don't know in what capacity. I don't know how the world will receive it. I know a lot of people like to have that, back to the basics and the realness of everything, but I just don't see AI influencers not being big, in my opinion.
It's interesting because AI influencers could take any form, right? So
Hmm.
the avatar could be, a beautiful young person, or they
Yeah.
could be like I've seen some influencers where they're like really old and they're supposed to
Yeah.
look like very wise and they're telling you about, some
Exactly.
sort of
Exactly.
nutrition.
Exactly. Yeah,
What
it
do you
is.
think are some of the interesting forms that they might use?
I'm sorry, you got cut off for a second there. Can you repeat that?
Well, I was just saying, what do you see in that trend, like where they're using various forms? I mean, I'm sure they could have talking animals.
Yeah.
We could be talked to by a lovable robot. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the future of that?
Um, well, as a marketer, I've been studying on how I can use it myself for the projects that I'm working on. One of them being generating user-generated content. So, at the end of the day, is there really a difference of one of the companies that I work with sending me, let's say, a ring for me to put it on my finger and then taking a photo and then uploading a photo as a user-generated content, or getting an AI to do that with that ring? Is there a difference in the point and the purpose that we're making? Now, if we have a customer who is saying, I love this ring, I bought this ring from Sandra's ring shop and absolutely love it, blah, 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 it sparkles, whatever, that is a testimonial. Using an AI generated model to do the same thing may not be as ethical. It's actually not, may not, it is not as ethical when you're pretending that someone is talking about your product and they're not. So I think it will. So in my opinion, as a marketer, I am going to look for ways to use AI marketing as much as I can. But I do think it depends on the purpose. In my opinion, having someone again put a ring on their finger and take a photo, and then we're using that photo just to showcase how the ring looks, it's almost the same thing as getting an AI to generate a photo of, not that AI can do hands very well, but generating a photo of a ring on a hand. Now, if we're pretending that we have a customer who's talking about a product, that's when you're getting into a little bit of ethical trouble, in my opinion.
What do you see as the relationship between the virality of like memes, which are so shareable online, and then marketing ads?
Memes make great marketing ads. I love memes, and I encourage all the clients that I'm working with to use memes. Memes, in my opinion, are great to grab attention. So the problem right now is attention. Your customer is online a lot, by the way. So when they say people don't consume content anymore, no, no, no. People consume a lot of content. People consume TikTok content. They consume long form videos on YouTube. They watch Netflix vlog. People consume content. Now, attention is a problem. So what I love about memes is that it's crazy. TikTok created this universe where we're all relating to each other, and then they created an algorithm that feeds you content that is relatable to you. To me, that's mesmerizing. It's amazing. So when you can create memes that relate to your audience, you're grabbing their attention. You're saying, "Hey, Michael, I know what you like. I know your language. I know what you like to see. So I'm creating content for you." Because I've grabbed your attention, now you're going to be interested in what my company has to offer. Now, when it comes to converting and when it comes to my product, that's when you want to be serious. You don't want to kind of be like, haha, and joking and so on. But when it comes to grabbing attention, I think memes are great. I'll give you an example of two emails that I created today. So I have a client who is a furniture manufacturers. They manufacture beautiful furniture pieces, and some of their audiences are designers and some of their audiences are retail stores. So we cannot speak the same language in the same social media posts or the same email. So when I'm sending emails I sent an email today for our Black Friday deal to the retail also and by the way, splitting it further into your buyers and your subscribers, you also want to have those nuances. But something as plain as my retail list of buyers and subscribers had a little bit more of a serious tonality because these people right now are a little bit more stressed. It's Black Friday. Are they going to make their targets for the end of the year? So when I sent an email, it was a lot more straightforward. Here's our whatever percent off Black Friday deal. Why we want you to pick us is because these reasons, these reasons, these reasons. And the reasons that we added were, how I'm going to help you make more money as a retailer. I know your customers are going to want these products, blah, blah, blah. For the designer list, we decided to go with a meme, and we took the girl math concept. So I don't know, have you heard of the girl math concept?
What is that?
Okay, so the girl math the girl math is essentially, the best way I can put it is, when women like to spend money, we're justifying our spend. So something like, if I'm buying this lipstick, going back to my lipstick, I love my lipsticks. If I'm buying this lipstick for $50, but I'm using it every day and it's gonna last me, it's gonna last me 50 days, that's just $1 per use. By the way, lipstick should last actually a lot more than 50 days, but that's just $1 per use, right? So you're justifying it as, it's not $50, just for the sake of an argument, I'm gonna keep it simple. It's not $50, it's just $1. Every time I wanna look amazing, it's just $1. So that is girl math. So we took the girl, because this particular company's designer customer base is mostly women. We took the girl math concept and we said girl mathing it. So if we have a 10% off, if you're buying stock for $2,500, that's $250 that you're saving. What can you do with these $250? So we listed some things they can do with it, like, you can help your clients cover your design costs. That is girl mathing it. You can help your clients add more accessories to their projects. That's girl mathing it. So that was quite well received by our audience of designers. And that's a way of basically saying, hey, we have an awesome sale. We want you to take advantage of it, but we are doing it in a relatable way. So I love memes, personally love memes. Another one is, I'll just give you another example that happened this week too with another one of my clients. One of my clients sent out an email with their new warehouse location, and he got the doors mixed up. So he actually had arrows pointing or whatever. And then he's like, oh my God, no, it's the other way around. So what can we do? It's more like a joking company. They like to be more savage in their copy. So basically we created a meme that said, who's a geography expert? Not me. And we put our client's face, the founder, on the meme. So that was really funny, because you're basically saying, hey, I'm sorry, I'm a human, but here's where the door is for our new location. So memes work. You just have to use them in the right context, and know what memes work with your audience too.
So the other meme was in what was the image part of it? Because you said it's 10% off, but if you're buying this amount, then that's this much you're saving, and what can you do with that? So was it just showing the picture of all the things that you could do with the savings?
It was that. Yeah, it wasn't like an actual meme photo where I added text. I do that sometimes too, but the meme of it, the meme part of it, was the concept of girl math. Yes.
Do you actually say it in the? You don't say like this is girl math. You're just using that strategy.
No, I said it's girl math. I literally had in the subject line, girl math meets designer math. I'm really curious to see what that open rate will be.
That's so much fun. Okay, I love that. All right.
Thank you.
That's terrific. So what I really love about hearing is like you're having fun with this. It's a lot of creativity, and then this is how you're making money for your company and for your clients' companies. Is it's not so like, as you said, it's not like an old school way where it's just very all about like high production values. How much money can we spend on this and make it look like we spent this much money on it? But it's more about let me relate to my customer. Let me understand where they're at and let me meet them there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Over the last few years, a lot of things have changed. So platforms have changed. There's a lot more restrictions to advertising, data privacy, and so on. So it is what I found over the last few years, I would say maybe 3 to 4 years, was brands, companies in general, both local service brands and retail brands, online brands, they're having a hard time. Like, they have to pedal a lot more and a lot faster to get to the same point they were. So whereas a few years ago, I'll say like 5 years ago, is a lot more straightforward. We're spending this much money and we're making this much money. Right now, what we're finding is even making the same amount that we did last year takes a lot more effort. And that effort is not just spending more money or sending more emails, but it's more segmentation in emails, adding more nuances, adding more layers, creating content for different platforms and creating content differently for different platforms, just to get to the same results that we got a few years ago. Part of it being, again, like a lot of changes in tech, data privacy, advertising is more challenging, a lot more competition, a lot more noise and distractions on social media platforms. People are not spending as much money. So it takes a lot more to do it. And again, consumers, they want to feel like you're talking to them. They don't want the from me to all of you down there. It's from me to you. We are equals. Me, the brand, I'm your equal. That's what they want. They want that one-on-one communication, and they want the intimacy of the one-on-one communication.
So tell me about your journey, Sandra. How did you start this? Like what was your vision? That I know that you did find a problem along the way and that's how you created the marketing side of things. But let's rewind back, like even before you started your ecom business, how did you get into the ecom business? And then let's hear a little bit more about that. That's that early story.
Sure. I actually did not grow up saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a marketer. Now I do, but growing up, that was not it. Actually, for me, marketing was a vehicle to get to where I want in life. I used to work in sales. I tried working for the government, was not my jam. I thought I wanted to work for the government. No. So I worked in sales, and shocker, I know. And when I met my now husband, Serge, I had no idea what he was doing. But from my understanding, he was selling some meditation beads online. I'm like, what? People buy that online? So he had an e-com store that ended up, we ended up scaling, growing together. And he was selling online meditation jewelry. So when I met him a couple months in, he said, hey, do you want to go on a mastermind with me in Bali? And I was like, absolutely. I do want to go into Bali with you. So here I am going to Bali with my, fairly recent boyfriend at that time. And I met like 30 marketers that none had a background in marketing. Like I'm telling you, I met people that were delivering pizzas before and they're like, no, I want to do some arbitrage on Amazon. And I'm listening to these people talk. And then on the last day, I remember we were in Bali at this five-star like beach club and we're drinking sangria and Serge was making more money than we're spending. And I said, can I please work with you? I said, I'll do anything. And said, absolutely, let's do it. So the next day I quit my job that I actually really loved and I just started working with him. Now we started in ecom because that's what we knew, but Serge is like, hey, you're good at sales. I'm good at technical stuff. So why don't we start an agency together and we can diversify what we're doing? So we actually started our agency because we wanted the lifestyle of traveling. So for us, going to Bali was like, well, why don't we do this like all the time? So we decided we want to be travelers. So I'm sure we're going to get into this, into your 4Fs, but over the last 3 years, we actually lived in over 50 Airbnbs. We were digital nomads. And we figured out that working online is going to allow us to travel and work from anywhere in the world and pay the bills. So we started the agency because of that. And then we grew other e-com stores, had to take a break from the agency. And then when we got hit with you cannot run Facebook ads anymore in 2019. I said, okay, I'm restarting the agency because I know there are other businesses that have the same problem and want to help them. I want to help them with it. And I do truly enjoy working with people and not just sitting behind a computer. So in terms of my vision, I can't say that I've always dreamt of being a marketer. I can't say that I've always, even after I became a marketer, there was no particular marketing part that I said I want to do over another. For me, it was always, for me, it was always, I want to figure out how can I get what I want from life. So for me, it's the freedom of waking up when I want to wake up. Not so much now I have meetings, but traveling and marketing was a vehicle. So to translate that into my work, it's working with companies that are companies and they want to grow and they want to just like be great. and they want to hire me to help them get there. I love growth, and I love realizing my potential and other companies' potentials. So that's why I said I do marketing with no BS, because I don't like the fluff, the marketing girly or whatever. I don't care about all of that. I care about, can we help you grow? Do you want to grow? I meet people that want to grow. Let's grow together. And that's basically it. It's not as, I don't know, it's not the, I've always dreamt of doing, social media marketing. It's just, no, I want to have a certain lifestyle. I figure out how to do it. And then I want to work with other people that want to achieve their goals, and let's do it together. Hire me so I can help you do that. It's a long answer.
Yeah, so this is awesome. You've been able to figure out a way to, as you said, you have a lifestyle. Like, I want to travel more with who was not your husband at the time, but became your husband now. So now you want to travel more with your husband, and the way that you guys can have this lifestyle. Tell me a little bit more about like how you're able to, like, how do people find you? Like, I'm ready to jump into the
Yeah.
other parts of the four F's, right? Because we do finance, family, and fun. But I want to hang back into the to your business a little bit more before we go into those, because yeah. So tell me a little bit, like, who are your ideal customers, and then how do you meet them?
Yeah. So actually, I find my clients, I'm a person that I don't like excuses. From day one, when we decided we have an agency, the priority was not, I did have this in my mind, like, I need a website, I need business cards, blah, blah. So we're just like, you don't need a website. You will need a website when you can show me that you can run an agency. So we actually made it until we made a 10K recurring revenue in our business to have a website. I find clients by pure outreach. Most of my clients have come to me by pure outreach because if I wanted to achieve whatever goals, financial goals, client number goals, or whatever, in my mind, just waiting for people to come to me was ridiculous, right? So I don't mean to, insult anybody, because I know this is a very touchy subject, by the way, for a lot of service providers, where they do not like the pictures. And there's so much content on LinkedIn about like, pitching is bad, don't be in my inbox, ha la 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 la. I'll tell you one thing. The businesses that have a problem that needs solved, that have money to pay someone like me, they do not have time to sit on LinkedIn and bash people like me. The biggest businesses that I've worked with, I've actually found them through pure cold outreach. I literally reached out to them and said, hey, Michael, cold pitch right now, just FYI, no shame, cold pitch. I've looked at your company. I think you have this problem. I think I'm in a unique position to help you solve it. I've done XYZ for other companies similar to yours. Are you totally opposed to having a chat? When you are as brief and persistent with this message, you will get clients. And I'm talking about, we've had time in our agency, as an entrepreneur, it's never linear growth. I've had times in my agency where we were down to our last $1,000 in our account. And our conversation was like, what the hell are we going to do now? And it was literally like cold email, cold LinkedIn. And within 3 months, we went back to like $30,000 in revenue, and then go up from there. So you asked me first, how do clients find me? Mostly through cold outreach. That's how I got started. And cold outreach is never going to be out of question for me. Now, I've been doing this for a few years, so I get a lot of referrals, which is nice. The referrals are good. The problem with referrals are I cannot control who comes to me. So when I go and cold outreach, I'm looking at a company, I say, okay, this company looks like they may need my help. But when I get a referral, I don't get control over the volume and over who comes to me. So I do take referrals if it makes sense. And in terms of my ideal client, I've gone since day one, 8 years ago. I've gone against the grain. Like, all of these gurus are saying, like, niche down, and just offer one service, offer one industry. I've never done that. For me, it was always the founder. It was always, who am I working with? Because I truly don't care if a company sells boat parts, which, by the way, I've sold a lot of boat parts. If a company sells hot tubs, if a company sells food, if your company sells fitness gear, I don't care. If I think I can help you, there is there there are a lot of situations where the food provider, the person that sells coffee, have the same scaling problems as the both parts. The fact that you have a different audience and different product is completely irrelevant. You both may have an issue with your ads. You both may have an issue with your email marketing. You both may have 30,000 people sitting in your email list or text list that you're not emailing, right? So I'm using the same principles to help you both. For me, as a founder, I am really protective of my mental state, because if I have to deal with founders that are not on the same page as me, it takes away from my strategy. It takes away from my brain power that I can use to help you. So my ideal client is a scaling company that wants no BS marketing, that is ready to listen to someone who has done it before, wants to work with us, prioritizes growth, is not stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. Like, we're not having the conversation of, I don't like that meme. And I'm like, yeah, but your customers like that meme. I don't want to have this conversation. I don't want to have the conversation of, are we using the right logo here? Is it right that we're using the red version versus the black version? Because it takes away from my brain power to help you. So I'm more about the founder than I am about the industry, for instance, or the niche.
And what role do you reach out to? If you're cold calling them, how do you know like who's the one with the power to say, yes, I want to work with you?
The CEO. And if they have a team, they'll just send me to their CMO or their operations director or their marketing manager. But usually I go to the CEO. The CEO usually, or the founder actually has the biggest pain. It hurts the most because they have put in the most money, they've put in the most work. A founder has burned the midnight oil, they've put in their own money. They hurt differently than just some metrics on a spreadsheet. So I usually just contact the founder.
And then I know you work with a wide range of products, right? So if you're doing anything from fitness gear or hot tubs so how do you identify how do you know yes, I can help them?
Looking at the problems they have. So I have turned my agency towards helping brands scale. So typically, I'm looking at a company that has had some success growing at a very least seven figures, so $1 million, between a million and 10 million. I find that companies that are at like 20, 50 million mark, they typically have a bigger marketing team, they have an internal marketing team. So first I'm looking at the size of the business, the problem they're having. So typically the problem they will have is we can't scale because we've had success, but and then I'm looking at the specific problem they have. Is it because they don't know what else they can do? Like, are they just using Facebook ads and they don't even know how to approach TikTok or Pinterest or Instagram or YouTube ads? They don't even know how to approach influencer. That's one problem. Or do they have a lot of these pieces in place right now, but they're not optimized, right? So very often I talk to founders at a $1 to $3 million a year mark. They're saying, look, we have some influencers, but actually don't have a process to get influencers. Like, we have a few influencers that reached out to us. I sent them some products, but I wish they sent me like better content. And it turns out that I actually don't have a process for recruiting influencers, getting the content I want, having the right metrics, on an Excel sheet or whatever. It could be that they do have all the pieces in place already, but they're kind of like chaotic. So I come in and I make order from chaos. Or it could be that they're ready to add another agency under their belt, right? So maybe usually it's an ads person that kind of takes care of some email marketing, or they have like a junior social media person, but they don't have anybody to really take marketing by the helm, and I need like a CMO, and then I come in. So those are kind of like the companies that I work with. When it comes to determining who I help, I go by the problem. What problem do they have? If they have an issue scaling, that's usually when I go in. I don't work with startups very often. I'm very, very much a scaling agency and not so much startups.
You don't work with startups as often.
Not as often.
Yeah. Okay. Because that's a completely different problem, right? Because they're finding their initial, product to market fit.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And so what is it about working with startups that you don't want to work with them as much?
The first thing is the mindset. And I've been there. I've been a startup founder many times. I've had the same mindset, but I find that there is a lot of times a clash in mindset. So with startups only, I've had the issue of spending way too much time on one social media post, spending too much time reviewing almost insignificant pieces of marketing. We're too focused on that's not on brand. Honestly, startups say that thing a lot more than established businesses. I've worked with a company that was pulling in $20 million a year, and they had a typo on their website for 2 weeks. And I kept saying, hey, you have a typo. Yeah, we'll get it fixed. We'll get it fixed. Startups are the ones that have the conversation of that's not on brand. And it's like, what is a brand? What's in a brand? You don't have a brand. You don't have a brand. You don't have a brand as a startup. I find that the mindset is the hardest thing to navigate with a startup. And I am not equipped to navigate that. I've trained myself over the last, how many years to work with scaling businesses. The principles that I apply, the speed at which I work is very, very different. Like we're moving things super fast. I need very quick decision making. Things change fast. If something doesn't work, we need to change it fast. We cannot wait, a week for you to approve one social media post. And I've only had a problem with startups. That's one thing. Budget is the other thing. I am not the cheapest. I'm not the cheapest, pick of the litter, and I do not want to be the reason why someone has to go into overdraft or put things on credit card or borrow more money. I don't want to do that. So that's another reason why. And I think actually those two reasons suffice. It's mostly the mindset, I would say, though.
What if you could talk to those startups and if you knew they would actually listen to you? What could you tell them so that their mindset could improve and they could be a better match for working with someone like you who could actually bring a lot of value to their business in marketing?
The first thing that I would say is don't step over dollars to pick up pennies. So do not get tangled up in that one social media post, the one website, the color, the font, or whatever of one post. Just keep posting, keep making mistakes, keep failing, and then coming back up. That would be the number one thing that I would tell them. Number two is you've got to determine what you want. So growth is not an answer. What kind of growth? Well, I want to reach $10,000 my first 3 months in business. I want to reach $100,000 my first 6 months in business. Decide what you want, because if you don't decide what you want, a couple of bad things are going to happen. A, you are always going to circle back and you're going to get into your own head. You're never going to achieve anything near what you could possibly achieve. B, other people will decide for you. So you are going to have the one team member, that other founder that you've started the business with, another agency that will decide your metrics for you. Decide what's important for you. And once you made a decision, your actions as a founder should be in line with that. So if you have very big goals and you say, you know what, screw it, I want to make $1 million in my first full years of business. Well, then you have to act like the person that makes $1 million in the first year of business. And I can tell you that person makes quick decisions. That person does not dwell on a social media post. The person does not dwell on a font, on the branding, on the website, on insignificant things that are keeping you busy. That would be another thing. The other thing would be to be extremely ruthless with your time, with your resources, with anything that doesn't move the needle to where you need it to go. So if you need to make money as a brand, which you will need to make money as a startup founder, do not spend time on things that don't bring you money. You should not spend time on things that don't bring you money. I'm not saying you have to hire like a full-fledged team right away, but I'm also saying that not everything deserves your attention, right? So if you're thinking of what brings you money, it's email marketing, ads, raising capital, if that's what you need to do, pitching, cold calling, outreach. Those are the things. It's the unsexy things that bring money, and then the glamorous part of being a founder is going to happen a lot later and stuff, But the beginning is going to be quite ruthless. And I would say mindset, honestly. And mindset, there's a lot, there's a lot when I say mindset, but think like the person you want to become, right? Who is the person you want to become? Act like them. Like if I'm an agency and I'm looking at working with big brands, let's say someone that makes $10 million a year, how do I show up in front of that company, right? I have to be professional. I have to have it all together. I cannot, I can't be late to meetings. I have to have reports. I have to have a plan. If I'm positioning myself as a CMO, I'm going to come to your business. I'm going to take marketing by the helm. I can't wait for you to tell me what to do. I got to tell you what needs to be done. And I'm going to tell you when it's going to get done and how we're going to get it done. So I try to practice that in my internal team as well. And then also with my clients too. Mindset is a huge thing. So whatever that means to you as a founder, follow the people that walked where you want to be, where you want to get, and follow, listen to their advice. Actually, sorry, one more. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to try to bring you down, from family members to friends to customers to honestly your acquaintance. I do not take advice from anyone whose life I don't want to have. And I'm not saying that I'm looking at someone whose entire life I want to have, but I'm not going to take a financial advice from anyone that has less money than me. I'm sure if they went bankrupt, I would listen to them. That is very relevant. But someone who's never taken a business, risk, and they're trying to tell me how to run my business, I will never take their advice. I'm not going to take an advice of a person who's not healthy on what eating healthy is, or who doesn't have a degree in related field. There's going to be a lot of negativity from all angles.
Absolutely. Yeah. You really have to have that, like you said, that solid mindset that is unwavering so that you can keep developing yourself towards the person you want to become.
Yeah.
For you, Sandra, who represents that for you? Like, who are your heroes? Who are the people that you want to become? And then how do you find out how they think so you can think like them?
Yeah, first of all, I love Alex and Leila Hormozi. Do you know who they are? Yeah, so I love them.
They are they started in gyms and then they moved
Yeah.
on to
Yes.
acquisition.com
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they acquire businesses and then they
Yeah.
help the businesses.
Yeah, I love Alex and Leila Hormozi because I love them because they've become popular online, not just because of the money they make, because a lot of other influencers make money, but because of their knowledge. I love to be known for the value that I bring and not what I put. They're very raw and real and they tell it like it is. So I love that kind of mindset where they're putting aside all the BS, they're putting aside all the fluff, all the glam, all the, like Alex is sitting there with his, I think he's wearing his Crocs and his shorts and his white t-shirt or tank top, and it's just like giving massive value. And I'm like, that's what I want to be. I love that. In a world of pretense, I love them. I also really like Grant Cardone. There's a lot of things that I don't agree with Grant Cardone, but what I like about him is that he stays true to himself. He's a savage. He has a lot of haters. A lot of people don't like his political views. A lot of people don't like how he's raising his daughters. But what I like about him is that he comes from a rough background. He had an issue with drugs, and he made himself who he is today, despite all the haters and all the negative Nancy's. And you may not agree with everything that he says, or he's very rough. Like he can be quite rough, but I really do like his style. I think that he knows his audience, and I like his mindset. I really do. Truly, I really do.
It's interesting that you're the heroes that I'm hearing of right now, like you describe them as rough, and I know, at least two out of the three you described, but I see you as you come across as very knowledgeable, very capable, and very intelligent, but the word that doesn't come to mind is rough when I'm meeting you.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I struggle with that. I struggle with, I'm trying to be a lot more candid and I guess savage, but it's really hard for me to do it. Um, it's hard because I do put people's feelings on a very top priority, and I I do like, I am a confrontational person though. I am. Like, it doesn't look like it, but I am. But I do like the savagery that these people that just talked to you about have. I admire it, and I'm trying to be a lot more, maybe not as rough and savage, but a lot more candid in how I do things. But it is tough for me. Yeah, I don't know if I always practice it, but I'm trying to in a very, I guess, in a nicer way. I'll take it as a compliment. I'm not rough.
There we go.
Thanks.
Yeah. And I appreciate the fact that you're like, okay, I love this quality that I'm seeing in them. You know, they're delivering such high value, but the sentiment that I'm experiencing or some kind of, aspect of it feels rough, right? Which is makes sense that you would describe it as that because it is different than where you're coming from. But you
Mhm.
see that maybe because you like them, as being your heroes, maybe there's some value for you there. What would be the value that you could take from that quality that you're seeing in them?
Well, I think that if I do take that quality and that, like, I'll call it the savagery or the roughness, I think that if more people practice it, I think people will get a little bit further in life. I think that a lot of us know our shortcomings, but we just don't want to admit them, right? So whether that is, like, let's say getting healthier, and I've struggled with this too, where we're having internal conversations at home, where we're saying, yeah, maybe we're not in as good of a shape as we used to be, and that's tough. It's tough to admit that to yourself or to your partner, but truthfully, when I started working out more, I started feeling better. Another thing would be, a lot of times when I had breakdowns about the agency and what we're doing, Search would be like, okay, go get a job. And I'd be like, screw you, I don't want to go get a job. And there's nothing wrong with getting a job. But for me, it's like, you're basically telling me that the only way that I can go about this is figure it out or get a job. So I want to go figure it out. So I think the quality, or, what I would get out of it, I think that having that savagery, it would push me and other people forward. I think it would. But we don't want to hear the truth sometimes. So maybe that's why I like Grant Cardone so much, is because he does speak the truth a lot of times, even though it is uncomfortable, and people don't like that. Now, when you said, you don't strike me as a rough person, one thing that I don't like is comparisons and pointing fingers. When I see, especially marketers and companies, it really, really, like, it's such a turn off for me when, um, actually, I saw a post today. It was a wedding venue or like an events planner, and it said, when you I don't know, something went wrong with, like, someone's dress, it wasn't ready in time or whatever, and she was saying, see, when you go with the event planner at the venue, this is what you get, but when you go with us, you get professional, this, blah blah blah. And it's like, do not put people down for their choices. Like, you should be able to stand out for what you have to offer, not for other shortcomings, because that's just, it's not okay. So maybe that's why I don't like to be as rough, savage like them.
It's interesting. It's such a straw man argument too, right? Like, oh, look, they dropped the ball. I would never do such a thing, right? The reality is everybody can do that. Everybody can make a mistake. But being resilient is what brings you the value that you can bring to your customer. Okay, you know what? The dress didn't happen on time, so that's why I stayed up all night, or whatever we did to
Yeah.
to find a way to make it through and make it better. Like you're saying, you have those conversations with your husband. Like if you're not feeling it, and we all do this, right? And every business, right? You come up against a wall of some kind, and it can be either as the Hormozis say, either a math problem or a drama problem. And then you feel like, hey, I can't go forward right now. And then, as your husband said, right, he brought it right back to reality. Okay, go
Yeah.
get a job.
Yeah.
And
I love that. The math problem or the drama problem. I think, honestly, I think if you turn especially business into a math problem, it's so easy. I can't explain to you how easy it is. Like, the conversations that I'm hearing online, it's like, we can't get clients. How do you get clients? For me, it's literally as easy as, okay, so if I send 100 emails, and one person replies to me and books a meeting, and if out of 10 meetings I get one paying client, that means I have to send 1,000 emails. So 1,000 emails means one client. Okay, how can I send 1,000 emails? So now I'm looking at tools. I'm looking at hiring someone to help me send emails. Like it just becomes so simple. Is it easy? Not always. In this case, rejection is hard because out of 1,000 emails, 999 of them will be either a no, a no reply, a no open, or even like absolutely freaking not. Screw you, get out of my inbox. You're a nobody. Bye. I've gotten those quite a few times, so it's hard, but it's, there's drama problems too. But a math problem is just becoming so simple. It becomes simple, in my opinion. So I like that. I like that you said that.
And I like how you just mentioned it's simple but not
Not
easy.
easy. Ain't that life?
Let's move on to one of the other F's. So let's talk about fitness. So you mentioned, right, as you over time, as you've been growing your business and doing all the great work that you're doing, you feel like, hey, something happened with my fitness. Can you tell me about like what you're doing now in order to keep lots of energy so that you can keep doing all the wonderful things you want to do?
Yeah. So recently we've when I say we, it's me and Sergio and Item, we're business partners and we're husband and wife. We have started to prioritize health a lot more. So we always had a tendency to do more than the bare minimum for our health. Sergio especially. So my luck is that he comes from a background of being an athlete. So he's played basketball growing up. He's played ping pong. He's actually biked across the country twice. So Canada is a very big country. He has biked, I want to say 4,000 something kilometers. It took him 2 months almost, and he was just camping and biking, and he did that twice. He's biked from, Toronto to Vancouver, from Vancouver to San Francisco. So anyway, it's nice because he's pushed me to be healthy. So currently, we just built a gym in our garage. So Serge built us a gym. So we have weights. We have two racks. One is for squats. One is for like dips, and we have a pulley. I have a spin bike. We have a cold plunge, a sauna, and a red light therapy. We have a rebounder, a ping pong table, and we prioritize doing health every day at the beginning of the day. So this for me all started in I would say 3 years ago when we started traveling. And through traveling, we're eating delicious food in Europe. I love the food in Eastern Europe. I'm from there. So it's just fascinating, the food that they make over there. So I started getting a little bit pudgier, and I was in such bad shape that I could not even do like a side plank. So I got a personal trainer, and he helped me get back in shape, learn how to work out. And since then, we were traveling. And then we decided, about 3 years ago, we decided when we're booking an Airbnb, we're going to book it close to a gym. So we had a few places where we lived, and then we kind of rotated through them. And we found our area, and we went to the same gyms. And because we were in Europe for 3 years, we were working from 3 p.m. until like midnight. In the morning, we started our day with working out, and then we would go to a spa. So we did steam room, sauna, cold plunge, etc. And then once we did health, we started doing work. So I found that this helps me here too. When we came back to Canada recently this year, I start my day with health because, in my opinion, there's such a powerful. You become so powerful when by 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. you've already done your workout for the day. You've done your red light, you've done your sauna and your cold plunge, you showered, your hair looks good, and you're ready to conquer the day. Like, wow, you've achieved so much. And it gives me the energy that I need to carry on the work that I want to do. So that's what we do now.
So part of it is that mental like feeling of success that
Mm-hmm.
you've already done so much.
Yeah.
The rest of the day is going to be easy.
Yeah. I think so. I think so. Easier. Another thing that we did recently was, when we came back to Canada, we moved into a neighborhood that was like more outside of the city, and we found that 25 minutes one way to traffic to get to a gym, and the gym was so busy. We if you weren't out of the door by 6:30 a.m., good luck working out, and you had to go after 8:30 p.m., which is too late for us. So now that we moved into a bigger house, double garage, we have the space. We built the gym at home. So we basically we like there's there's books about this, like Atomic Habits is one of them, where they talk about make it accessible, make it easy to have the good habit. So for me, it was buying a spin bike. And I told Serge, I'm not gonna go jog outside every day because if it's raining, I'm not gonna go jog. Like I know people do it and I admire them a lot. But if I have a spin bike, at the very least, the very one thing that I can do today is hop on that bike for 20 minutes and I've done something, right? So what we found is that when we have all these things accessible, they're a lot easier to do. So having a gym in our house enables us to actually work out.
And you built the habit so that like your body at when you wake up, is that the first thing you do when you get out of bed? Do you just go right to the gym? Like as you're like drying your wiping your eyes?
That's
Like
honestly the
how do
best.
you what happens right before the gym?
Yeah, so I try. Actually, I did that last week. So this week I was sick. So I didn't work out that much. So this week I was sick, and also, when you're sick and you take like cold medicine, you feel like super sleepy. So I needed my coffee first thing in the morning. But I found that if I just go straight to it, I just get it over with, and I can have my coffee and so on. I will say that it is very hard. It is painful. So what I did last week 3 times is I woke up. I actually did oil pulling. That's one of my new biohack too. It's oil pulling. I find that it really cleans your teeth very well. So I did oil pulling and straight to a cold plunge, and it was excruciating pain. It was excruciating pain, but I got to the cold plunge. But if you do cold plunge, lifting weights becomes easier, and then weights, and then after weights, I do sauna, and then just go to the shower, meditation and red light after the shower, and then I'm having my coffee and I'm ready to work. That's the plan. Does it always happen? No, but that's the plan.
Yeah, I think we have to realize that we're all human. As you said, even though you've got this whole schedule for yourself, you know what? My body's telling me I have to slow down. I'm
Yeah,
sick, and that's going to happen for a week. I
exactly.
don't get to override that just because of my willpower. My body also has a plan. Now
Yeah,
I'm going to rest this time.
exactly, exactly.
So how do you take that? How do you make sure that you're focused on giving your body what it needs so that you can stay healthy? What are the foods that you need to eat? Like, what do you think makes the biggest needle movement in all the things that you do for your fitness?
Food is a big one. I don't know if I can pinpoint one thing. If I can pinpoint one thing, it would be again going back to the mindset and doing consciously making good decisions, right? Sometimes good decision may mean having that one donut because I'm really craving some sugar, I need the brain power, but offsetting that with maybe I'm having a salad for dinner. But I do think it's a lot of things that we do. So food is a huge one. I've actually had a huge battle with my gut. Years and years ago, when I was in university, I had Bell's palsy, so that's my face, half my face paralyzed, and I had to take a lot of, I got not antibiotics, but they were, what's the word? Bodybuilders take them. They're not legal for bodybuilders. Steroids.
Steroids.
So I take a lot of steroids, and they destroyed my gut lining. So I had a lot of problems with my gut. So once I start healing my gut, and especially through food, I noticed that when I don't have this problem, I can focus on work more. I am more sharp. I'm not thinking about my gut. I'm thinking about my project. So from there, I'm making very conscious decisions on what I'm going to eat, because I know if I have a lot of work to do, like right now it's Black Friday, I cannot afford, like I have to write so many email campaigns. I cannot afford to feel bad. So in terms of the foods that we eat, very protein heavy, organic meat. So we get the meat boxes from farms. I get wild fish, wild salmon. So heavy on the meat, but clean, grass-fed, organically caught meat. Our meals throughout the week usually look like eggs. I do like to make fancy, brunches sometimes. So it look like eggs, some sort of a meat like prosciutto, for instance, some sort of fat like cheese, and some vegetables like tomatoes, cucumbers. Snacks usually are yogurt bowl, fruit, granola, and a dinner would be either steak or liver or fish, and then two vegetables with it. So that can be vegetables like potatoes with steak or salad or chicken Caesar salad or something like that. That is like a clean, meal for us. However, we do like to indulge on the weekend. So I told Serge, if I ever become a stay-at-home housewife, it would just be making food. I love making food. I love making food, having people at my table and being creative. So on the weekends we indulge. I make a big brunch, and that's like pancakes, and I'm putting the brandy in the pancakes, and I'm caramelizing peaches and so on. But during the week we try to stay pretty good with our food and keep it simple, not overcomplicated. You don't need more than one piece of meat and then two vegetables with your meal. Sometimes we even just do like ground beef, and we eat ground beef. So that's what I found is a food that fuels us. Supplements. So we take a lot of supplements. A lot of them I don't even know what they do. Search just like tells me to take them. But we like to follow Dave Asprey, like the Bulletproof Coffee. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's kind of like the father of biohacking. I make the Bulletproof Coffee almost every day. So I do butter, MCT oil, and coffee in a blender, and I find that helps me fast. And yeah, supplements. That is good. And that's what ideally we eat in a week when it's healthy. But on the weekends we
So
indulge.
you mentioned when you were younger, you got something called Bell's palsy, and it sort of froze half your face, and then you had to take steroids. Can you tell me more about that? Like, how did you know there was a problem?
I
And
didn't.
and
I
and then
woke
eventually
up.
to hear about how you healed your.
I didn't. I woke up, I went to work, and my manager was like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Sandra, your face." And I looked in the mirror, and half of my face like was swollen and it wasn't moving. So I called my parents, went to the emergency, and my a doctor explained to me what happened. She said this happens sometimes. Sometimes it's permanent, sometimes it's not. And then she just put me on steroids right away, and thankfully it wasn't permanent. But I didn't know that
How
those
old were
steroids.
you?
I was in university, so I was in my early 20s. I want to say I was about 20. I'm 33 now. Yeah.
It must have been terrifying.
Yes, it was. It was terrifying because I've never heard of that before. And I had no idea what was going on. And so 13 years ago, we were still pretty fresh immigrants. Like we moved to Canada in 2005, so this must have been 2010, 2011. So that's still pretty fresh immigrant status. And no, I wasn't a person like being sick growing up. I've never really gone to the hospital. It was terrifying, but I don't know. I've had other terrifying things happen since then. So it's interesting that you're asking me about this now. It's kind of like, oh yeah, by the way, like my face froze at one point. It was terrifying, but I don't know. It just kind of went away. But it left me with very bad gut issues because I didn't realize that it destroyed my gut lining, destroyed it. So it was very bad. That was very bad.
So what were the issues with your gut? Like what was happening with your body, and then how did you start to heal that?
Yeah. I was bloated all the time. So I was bloated from water. Like I was bloated from anything. And it seemed like nothing was working, and I started looking more into it, and it showed how your gut is so strongly related to your mood. Like I was irritable, I was not zen, I was always angry, but I was bloated. I was so bloated all the time. It wasn't as bad at the beginning because I was very skinny. I was like 49, 50 kilos, which is quite skinny. I don't know what that is in pounds. But as it just got worse and worse, and I noticed that my hair was thinning out, my skin was not good. My doctors weren't listening to me, and I ended up going to a naturopath. So I actually paid a lot of money to get tests done, and that's when he told me I found a naturopath who specializes in gut health. So he told me that, what was happening. Basically, they said you have something called a leaky gut. Your gut lining is destroyed. It's leaking. So when your food is not being absorbed properly, your nutrients are leaking, you're not absorbing vitamins. And they gave me all sorts of vitamins, pills, and so on to take. And also super mindful eating. So clean eating, whole foods, not processed foods. Alcohol, super bad. I drink, but I know when I drink what's gonna feel like the next day. Sodas, super bad. Sugars, of course. So then I just started eating and no raw vegetables. So I eat maybe Caesar salad. I would say, let's say maybe once a week, but that's the only raw vegetable that I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna cook all my vegetables, meats and cooked vegetables. So, and bone broth. Bone broth is really good. So yeah, over the last, how many years I started to heal my gut, and I'm noticing that my mood is different, my mindset is different. Like I said, not having those problems allows me to focus on my work. Yeah, crazy times.
Wow. And so this, how long did it take for you to start feeling better? So I'm hearing that they gave you a lot of, things to take, but then a lot of it was diet.
Hmm.
And so how long do you think it took you from finding out I have a leaky gut to getting to feeling better?
Years. It took years. I can say that probably this year or last year was the first year I can say I can eat whatever I want. Of course, if I eat too much of it, it's going to have the same effect that it would on any other person. It took years because also the paradigm of what healthy food is constantly changes, right? And I went to different naturopaths. Some naturopaths, they say eat the rainbow. Some of them say eat just meat. Some of them say don't eat meat at all. And I had to navigate all of these issues, right? So sometimes you do all those tests and then your food sensitivity, blah blah blah. And it took a lot of trial and error, looking at talking to more to different health specialists, but also finding what works for me. So that was one issue. And the other reason why it took years is because we travel so much, and when you travel you don't cook as much, so then we ate out a lot. And when you eat out, you don't have control over the bacteria that's in the food. Eating street food in Thailand sometimes, nothing against Thailand. Love Thailand. Lived there twice. Love the street food. But even myself, I would give you the money. You take the money. You're touching my food. I'm touching my food. Bad, bad, bad. So it took longer than it could have. But from my understanding, someone can fix a leaky gut and gut related issues within 1 or 2 years. They can probably do it.
If you could have controlled all the elements, like what do you think you would really focus on? What would be the top things to really focus on to get your gut back to health from that initial leaky gut place in that 2 years? Like what would you focus on the most?
Yeah, I think if the pain was bigger, so I think if it was a lot bigger problem and someone said, look, man, you may get cancer or something equivalent and you have to take drastic measures, and it was either this or nothing, like I didn't have that leniency in my life, I would probably say zero alcohol ever. Like alcohol, I think is one of the worst things you can do for your health. Excuse here, but I come from a nation of drinkers. In Romania, people drink for every occasion. Weddings, funerals, your baby's born, your brother's baby is born, graduation, it's a Tuesday, it's a Friday, it's whatever. So I come from and people take pride in the alcohol they make at home, the moonshine, the wine, and so on. So I would say alcohol, zero ever, no more alcohol for the rest of my life. Fasting is really good. Like let your body heal and repair. I would probably take drastic fasting measures. Like I'm talking 7 to 10 days of a water fast, and eating only home cooked food. I think those three things would have helped me the most if I was insanely determined, if the pain was incredibly bad, and if it was either this or nothing. But I had leniency and I said, hey, I want to live. I want to live my life. And I want to be in Croatia on the seaside and eat pasta. When we lived in Montenegro for a while, our Saturdays were called cappuccino, wine, and pasta Saturdays. We would take a local place in by the water, and we would start with the cappuccino, and then we would order pasta and wine, and that was perfect Saturday for me. And I'm gonna do that again this summer.
I love it how you guys found like a tradition that you can enjoy so much,
Yes.
right? I think those are the things that we have to really hold on to when we find those things. My wife says I'm a creature of habit. She's like, you always want to go to the same ice cream place. And I'm like, but don't you love that ice cream place too? She's like, yes, I love that ice cream place,
Thing. I
but not
agree.
as much as you.
I look. I go
Christine,
to restaurants and order the same dish at the same restaurant. Why ruin a good thing? And also,
that's
habits,
it.
they eliminate so much mental nonsense. Think about it. When we started traveling, we travel with one suitcase. So we had to be super smart about the clothes that we have. And even up to now, unless I receive something as a gift, my wardrobe is white, gray, or black shirts. It is jeans, black pants or white pants, and it is leggings or track pants, and that's it. I do not own a lot of colorful items unless they're gifted or it's like an occasion. I'm buying a dress or I've had it from way before. Because and also that helped us eliminate so much mental clutter, right? Like, what am I going to wear today? What It's going to be a white t-shirt. What am I traveling in today? Well, it's going to be the black one, just because airports are dirty. I might just get like the luggage, like I have to pick up the luggage or whatever. I'm going to get dirty. Habits, they eliminate a lot of mental, well, that's why Mark Zuckerberg wears the same thing all the time.
Yeah, and I think of Steve Jobs before
Yep.
him. Do you subscribe to the belief of you can just go into a restaurant and just ask them, what do you think is good, and then
Yeah.
let them order for you?
Yeah.
Take it that far?
I do. I do. I do, because as much as I like my habits, I do like adventure. And I also think that a lot of times it does make a server's day when you ask them, like, hey, what do you recommend? Are they telling you? Absolutely. Yeah, we do that all the time. Especially when we're traveling. So when we travel, we're in a lot of restaurants all the time, like literally like breakfast and dinner. And it's nice. And especially when we go, I'm gonna say back. I was gonna say back home. Back home. To me, it's Eastern Europe. We go to these little restaurants that are family owned, and they take pride in what they make, and also they have a lot of fresh ingredients, right? So if I'm in Croatia, for instance, I'm at the seaside. I do want to eat what's fresh on the menu. So there used to be this one little restaurant. I don't even know. Like, this was a Split in Croatia. That's where I want to live. In Split or Zagreb, Croatia. That's like my dream. My dream, like, living. When we found this little restaurant, and literally the guy comes with like a little notepad, and he's like, "What menu? I'm the menu. I'm gonna tell you what we have. We have this fish, this fish, this fish. If you don't like fish, we have this pasta, this pasta, this pasta. I recommend you get this fish. We got it fresh. It's 52 euros per kilo. Just get it." I'm like, "Okay, okay. So if you want wine, I'm gonna recommend this wine." I'm like, "Okay," and it was delicious. I'm like, "Yeah, I love that. I actually really like that."
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can just tell you what's great, and then, like you said, you don't have to spend time like cycling through your brain thinking about all this
Mhm.
stuff. So I think we've moved into the family section of things. So you mentioned your ideal is to live in Eastern Europe. Tell me about that, right? I'm someone, let's say I've never traveled to Eastern Europe and I don't know what's so great about it and why you'd want to live there. Help me understand like why someone would want to live there.
Wow. Wow, do you have time? Okay, so first of all, both Serge and I were immigrants from Eastern Europe. So I grew up in Romania and Serge grew up in former Yugoslavia. So we're not the same countries, but we're brothers, right? I'm not brothers with my husband. Our countries are brothers. That's what we say. We so Serge immigrated here during the war. So it's actually different circumstances. My parents wanted to move to Canada. They always had a more westernized mindset where they wanted to give me and my brother different opportunities. Romania, actually, a lot of people don't know this, but the communism in Romania, it was actually like a dictatorship. It was literally short of North Korea right now. So my mom said that meat was for holidays. Bone soup was the soup, not meat soup. You couldn't even find anything in stores. It was worse than Cuba is right now, and you could not leave the country. If you left the country, you're pretty much cut. Like, people try to leave the country by swimming out. So Romania, exited communism in 1989, but it just didn't. You still had that old mindset for the majority of the 90s. My parents just kind of wanted to move. Serge, on the other hand, his parents were fine. They lived in Bosnia, and a war broke out and they had to flee. So they had to leave everything behind. So when people hear, like, why do you want to go back to where you come from? It's weird. But for us why we've wanted to go back and live there. So for me, Croatia is, in my opinion, the perfect country. Nothing is perfect, but it blends the West and the East really well. So there's things that I don't like about the East, like Romania, right? There's a lot of my mindset stuff and, behaviors and whatever that I don't like about the East that I do like about the West, like in Canada, for instance. But there's a lot of things I miss about the East. So I feel like Croatia blends that. So, for instance, Western mindset, Croatia is clean. It's very safe. People have a higher standard of living. It's joyful than like, eastern part of Romania, let's say. It's close to other countries in Western Europe, so you can travel. Now, it does have the Eastern aspect to it where it's the food, the traditions, the Christmas, the music, the people are warm like in the East. So that's why I think Croatia is. And it does help that it's a gorgeous freaking country. So, like, you've seen, Game of Thrones, a lot of it was filmed in Croatia. The sea is beautiful, it's clean. Local customs are well preserved. So that's why I want to go there. I did not go back to Romania for 11 years when we moved to Canada. And when I went back in 2019, I've missed, I don't know, there was an energy that pulled me towards it. I like Canada. I like that Canada has enabled me to open up my own business. I'm very cognizant that there are a lot of things that I can get in Croatia that I can't get in Canada, right? So as a business owner, access to capital, like good luck getting an Amex, in Eastern Europe. Access to capital is a lot easier here, which enabled us to, grow our business. So it's tough to say I want to move because I could move right now. Serge is also a Croatian citizen, so by marriage I can, start becoming I have a EU passport. I can stay there for 5 years, but I could become a citizen eventually. But it's tough because we like Canada for a lot of other things. So it's a toughie. I think ideally I want to be in both places. I want to find a way to be 6 months there and 6 months here, or 8 months and 4 months, or one way or the other. But I would say what attracts me to being there, it's the food, the people, the culture, the music. Life is just different. So this year we came back to Canada in May. We lived in Split, Croatia, in January and February. We had an apartment by the sea. And even though it was off season, every day I would either go jog or walk by the sea. I would take my cat food with me. I would go to the dumpsters, feed the cats, and then when I was done with it, Serge would wake up. He would meet me for cappuccino, and we started our morning with a cappuccino by the sea. And I cannot do this here. That culture of living, and we would just rent a car for the day, like on a weekend, and start driving. And we're in Slovenia, and it's like, okay, let's just stay in Slovenia for this weekend. I don't get that here. So it's North America is phenomenal for business. I feel like Europe is phenomenal for living. If that makes sense. I don't know. It's very social, and the food is good. Yeah.
That's interesting. How could you, if you're, as long as you're staying in Canada and you're not moving to Eastern Europe, how could you make the most of bringing what you love from European culture into your life in Canada?
Yeah. I have a lot of Eastern European friends. Actually, most of my friends are Yugoslavians, so they're not even Romanian. And we get together all the time. So we get together almost every weekend. We have parties. My parents have actually organized events for the Romanian community for years and years now, for 15 years probably. And, we have our church events. We eat our food, we celebrate our holidays, we meet other people from our cultures. Yeah, food, music, culture, people. And there's a big community here of Eastern Europeans I'm in Kitchener, Ontario, and there's a huge community of Eastern Europeans here.
So, what about the dancing? Do you guys do that?
We do. And actually, I know dances from Sergio's country more than he knows them. I've been good. I've been a good student. So my girlfriends, my closest girlfriends, they all used to do dancing for Serbian school when they grew up, when they were growing up. So they taught me their dances. So yeah, we do a lot of the traditional dancing. I love it.
And so is that like on the weekends? Like how often are you guys dancing?
Yeah, when we get together, we have parties and we dance. So that's probably like a couple times a month. Weddings. Yeah, weddings, but probably a couple times a month we have parties. We have a nice house here and everybody kind of gets together. So with my friends, we also do theme nights. So I told you I love cooking. So we all pitch in the money and I make the menu. So we do theme nights. So based on the theme, we'll have the music, the food, the ambiance. So for instance, once we did Thai night. So because I went to Thailand, I had like my Thai hat and I had those elephant pants that everybody wears in Thailand. So we dressed up. I made pad thai. I went to cooking class in Thailand and I brought my cooking book with me. We made pad thai and we made like basil tea, sweet basil tea. Another time we did Italian night, so I made pasta. And one of my friends, he showed up with flowers, but they were wrapped in brown paper like they do in Sicily. And we put Italian music on speaker. I made tiramisu. So yeah, and then we get together and we party, we dance, we sing, we party.
This is amazing. So you've rebuilt a culture like in another place where
Yeah,
there's better it's better for your business,
yeah.
but you've also brought a lot of culture there.
Yes, it's interesting to be an immigrant. It's tough sometimes. You never fully belong anywhere anymore. Yes, I'm Canadian. I moved here 19 years ago, so I've assimilated. I went to school here. I grew up with this mindset. But the tough part is, I'm always going to be an immigrant. I have an accent. My parents, I grew up in a household with different mindset, I guess. Now, when I go back to Romania, I also don't belong there anymore because I've been gone for 19 years. So when you're an immigrant, immigrants are a different breed because we're a little bit here and we're a little bit there, and we're no longer fully in each side, in any side.
Yeah, that's you can't go there's that saying, you can't go back home again.
No, no, I don't think so. Even if I moved there permanently, I couldn't.
Yeah, to me it means like home has changed. You
Yeah,
have changed.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But it helps you be more resilient. Life is full of changes, and it helps you react better to change. I think it's helped me, like when people ask me, like, how can you live out of a suitcase and build a business and change Airbnbs like every week? And it's like, man, my parents like picked up and they left. And back when we moved here, we didn't have the internet that we have now. Like, we did not have, our research was my uncle that lived in Toronto, and he told us, yeah, move to Toronto. And we moved to Toronto, and that was basically it. And we came and he said, like basically he said, yeah, I don't know how to help you guys, but I spoke to the building administrator. He's my friend, so he'll get you an apartment here. And he said, if you don't like this building, it's going to be very tough to find another building because you don't have credit here, don't have reference letters. I'm going to take you to see someone about a car. And that was our research. That was just my parents. Like, my dad's an engineer. Well, his PhD now, he got his PhD in the meantime, but my dad was an engineer. He had to find odd jobs fixing TVs for a living. My mom had her own firm back home. She did PR. She had to work at Old Navy, and she was fired because her English wasn't good enough. She went to school at night. So like, you accept change and you navigate it, and then you kind of move on, and that's it.
That's I love that story of resilience, right? Just doing what was available at the time, right? Whether it's Old Navy for your
Yeah,
mom or your dad repairing TVs,
yeah,
and knowing that they had that higher goal, even though like they had a family already,
yeah,
they'd already achieved these things in another country
yeah,
and in a completely different culture and context, but they were willing to take that huge risk, move to a new place because they felt like they could give something more to you and your brother.
exactly. And that's part of it, and that was the number one reason why they wanted to move here in the first place. The other side of things is, and that's why a lot of immigrant children are quite successful. So a lot of immigrant children, you'll see them being engineers, doctors, businessmen, and so on. It's because leaving everything you've known behind, leaving your parents, your sisters, your brothers, your nieces, your nephews, leaving behind Christmases together, you have to make that worth it, right? So if you move to another country, you leave behind almost everything that you love and almost everything that you've built. There's what else are you gonna do but try to become successful, whatever success means for you, right? For some people, success means just mental peace, having a steady job. For some people, means I'm putting my kids to university. For some people, means buying my first house. But I think that was part of it too. We didn't come here for nothing. We came here to become somebody, and they had to keep pushing. And for me too, for me and Serge, like there's so many people and countries right now that don't have the possibility that we've had growing up. So for us, that's why we always keep pushing, because our parents made a sacrifice to move to another country, and it would be such a shame to not try to become our best versions of ourselves, the best that we can be. Because again, leaving almost everything that you love behind, it's not easy, and everything that you know.
How do you know you're on track to becoming the best version of yourself? And how do you course correct if you ever get off track?
Oof, that is a tough one. Personally, I like to assess my goals quite often. I actually used to assess my goals every day. Every day I used to sit in with my coffee and think about what do I want to achieve, what do I want to achieve today, this month, this quarter, this year. That was part of because I'm a business owner. For me, it's knowing my goals and going to bed every night thinking I did everything that I could today that is aligned with my goals, right? So it doesn't mean that I lifted the most today, but it means, hey, even though I wasn't feeling that great, at the very least I hopped on the bike, I did 30 minutes of something, and I didn't eat sweets. I kind of like tamed down the sweets, or I didn't have wine, this week or something like that. To me, it's knowing where you want to go and going to bed every night thinking, yeah, I did my best today. I did my best, and I'm moving towards the direction that I want to move.
Is that something that you and your husband Serge share together? Do you like do that kind of check in, like, hey, here's what I did today to be the best version of myself? Or
Yeah,
what about you? How was your day?
absolutely, absolutely. And we track, like we have those habit sheets. We track what we do. We also take time every now and then, depending on seasons, not like weather seasons, but what we need to be with our business and health and so on, where we kind of like reevaluate and say, okay, this is what I'm focusing now. I'm focusing on losing weight or building muscle or eating better, or I want to get 2 more clients, or whatever the case. We take the time to reassess and reevaluate, and then we share with each other. But yeah, we do check in with each other, and we're very, like, we spend so much time together. We have very similar goals. I will say that definitely Serge is pushing me to do my own thing a little bit more. But I copy him a lot, but he's a good role model for me. What can I say?
That's amazing. Absolutely. We should all have, I'll be so lucky to have partners that we want to copy all the time.
I
Like,
know.
and for sure that's got to feel good to him.
Yes, I am very lucky. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very lucky that I have a partner that I can copy. It's really hard, right? Like staying on track, especially with health, with mindset, it's so easy to go down a slippery slope. Like we are human, like we're not robots. Everybody knows health, right? Like eat less, exercise more, eat more whole food, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do this, whatever. But we are humans, and humans are full of emotion, and we want to do the bad things. We want to eat that donut. It's delicious. That donut is delicious. I had a Bailey's donut the other day. It was amazing. Rationally, we know it's just getting to do it that it's really hard. So yes, I'm extremely lucky to have someone who is healthy and motivated and wants to do the right things. But we also like to be bad together sometimes, which is also okay in my opinion.
What are habit sheets?
So habit sheets are essentially good habits that you keep track of on a daily basis. So on our habit sheet, you would find something like I meditated today. Meditation, working out, drinking 2 liters of water, didn't have alcohol, fasted, slept 8 hours, went to bed before midnight, only an hour of TikTok. And then we track we track if we did it or not. And then you just keep track of your habits, and you want to have a good habit streak. So if you see that you've meditated 7, 10 days in a row, you don't want to break the streak. You're going to find time to do it tomorrow. So yeah, it's basically an Excel sheet where you have, you can align your columns or your rows however you want, but basically one of them is the day for the month and one of them is the habit. And then you track your habit. You put a little check mark or an X or an yes or a green box. And you keep track of your habit chain.
And this is something is this like a formal thing, or you guys just made this up yourselves because you thought, hey, I want us to do this together, honey. Let's work together and do this. And then this is something you guys do as married couple.
To be honest, I searched show me a habit, like a habit form. I don't know if he like got the idea from a book or it's like we call it a habit chain. I'm not gonna Google it, but I got the idea from search, but I'm sure others do it too. I don't know if you got it from a book or maybe. We just do an Excel spreadsheet.
And so this is like it's like a shared document, and you guys both go in and you both have your own column, like that you check yours and he checks his column.
No, everybody has their own sheet. So we don't share the sheets. It's whatever goals we have, we keep track of those. So they might be similar, they might be different.
So you'll have different goals than him.
Yeah. And I have my own spreadsheet and he has his own spreadsheet for habit chains.
Do you ever look at each other's spreadsheets?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I like to be nosy.
For me, I have, yeah. I create spreadsheet with my wife, and she's like, I don't like spreadsheets, but I'm like, but it's for us, and sometimes I'll show it to her. I think she'll never look at it on her own, but she's very patient and kind with me. And when I say, oh, can I show you something on the spreadsheet today?
That's cute. That's actually very cute. Sounds to me like there needs to be an app for this habit chain thing. Well, I have an app for because we like tracking. Maybe she likes charts more, but we got one of those. I'm gonna show you. We got one of those scales that check your body composition. So it's not just a scale, but it's your weight, it's your fat percentage, and so on. And it's like nice. So like it's a graph. It shows trends. It shows history. It's very like what can you see here? So like I have my weight, my body fat. I have my subcutaneous fat, which is your fat around your midsection, and that's subcutaneous fat is basically the fat under your skin, and your visceral fat is the one around your midsection. And then it tells you like your level of protein, your level of muscle, your bone mass, and so on. And it's like a nice, pretty app that you can use. So maybe you should like something like that. I don't know. I'm sure they have these apps for all sorts of different things they want to measure and track in your life.
Yeah, I think she won't like anything like that, but I will.
Okay.
I will show it to her, and she'll tell me that she doesn't want it for her. I can't get her to use that stuff, but she's excited for me that I'm excited.
There you go. That matters.
Okay, that's what matters. She supports me. She's my champion. I appreciate that. I try to champion her too. Let's do the lightning round, Sandra. Are you ready?
I don't know. Am I? What is the lightning round? Let's do it.
The lightning round is, so I've asked you a lot of blue sky questions, but these are going to be more targeted questions. What's the best investment you've ever made for your financial health?
My financial health. Can I say my husband's credit card? No, I'm kidding. No. Ooh, this is hard. Best investment in my financial health. I think actually starting a business, because it just taught me to be financially independent. I was stuck to whatever others said they're going to pay me before I became a business owner. So I had to take a dip and then I went back up. Is that a valid answer?
Great answer.
Okay.
So you found that you were working at a company, and when you're working at a company, they tell you how much you make, but when you make your own business, you tell them what you charge.
Yes.
And it works out much better if you're the owner of your business. And that's why we're entrepreneurs.
Yeah, exactly.
Part of it, at least. Okay, so now what's your best investment for your fitness or your body health?
Yeah, I think that would be the gym that we recently built. I think just having a gym at home and investing in that was hands down the best fitness investment we've made.
What are you getting out of it?
I work out and I don't have excuses. I don't have to go to the gym. I work out when I can. I work out when I have time. Like I actually do it. Versus when I went to the gym, I didn't do it as consistently.
And what's your best investment for family?
The best investment for family. So I think I have a very good relationship with my husband, and one of the reasons why is because that we decided it's me and him, and nobody comes in between us. Take his side, he takes my side. We try to understand each other, and we stick with each other. Don't complain to him. I don't even complain. Sorry, I don't complain about him. I complain to him. I don't complain about him, not even to my parents, not even if it pisses me off. I will not argue with him in public. We're a united front. And I think that was one of the best, I'll call it an investment, I guess. I don't have like a monetary investment or anything like that I can say. Um, yeah.
So what does that create for you guys? How does that lead to having a good relationship, right? Because nobody comes in between you,
Mhm.
because you stick together, what's the result?
Well, one of them would be, for instance, we've been talking back and forth about, moving to Europe. And if Serge came to me right now and he said, I want to leave, I don't want to live in Canada anymore, let's pack up, end of the month, we're giving up the house, we're going to Europe, I will blindly follow him. And I'm not going to go ask my friends, my parents, my brother, like, what do you think? Should I do this or not? I'm going to blindly follow him. I'm going to blindly follow him because over the last 9 years, of almost 9 years of being together, he's proved to me that when he makes a decision that affects both of us in a huge way, he's thought about it. He's not impulsive. He wants to make it because he truly believes is the best thing for us. If he makes a decision, I'm going to follow him. If I make a decision, he's going to follow me. We don't point fingers at each other. We trust each other's decisions. We trust each other's judgment. And I've seen relationships not work so well when that doesn't happen. So I think building that not just trust, but like I said, that united front was an investment in my relationship. And especially I would say when we got married, it became, I love my family and we love his family. But that's when I personally realized that we are family now. And then he's my immediate family, right? So one of the reasons why we got married, because we were together for 7 years before we got married, was because we realized we're traveling. And I told them, if something happens to me, you need to be the one that makes the decision because you're the one that spends so much time with me as an adult, you know, my wants, my needs, and you have to be the one that makes that decision. So it's been like a mindset shift over the last few years, but I would say investing in that mindset was the one thing that, yeah, I guess helped us the most.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Your best investment for fun.
For fun, a big house. We rented a house that's 4 bedroom. We don't need 4 bedrooms because it's just two of us. But I love hosting. I love it when people are at my table. It just brings me so much joy. I can't even explain. Like I can't explain. So for me, when we looked for a house, we said no. I want a bigger house. I don't want an apartment because I want to host and have parties. And to me, that's fun.
And it sounds, from what I'm hearing, you get a lot of joy out of hosting your friends and building your friend groups.
Yeah,
And it brings not only your friends and your family, but there's a cultural component, and you guys are having just an amazing time.
I think so.
How should I grow this podcast? And I know the question you want to ask, you want me to tell you more than grow this podcast. So assuming I want to be the biggest podcaster in the world and I want to help people to recognize that they can have success as entrepreneurs, not just in terms of money, the finance part, but also in terms of their family and their fitness and their fun.
Mhm. Okay, how should you grow this podcast? Okay. Well, there's a couple things that you have to look at, and yes, it's not a one-way answer, but I'll tell you a few things that you want to look out for. So first of all, would be your distribution. So make sure that you have a well-oiled machine for distribution, which means we spoke for an hour and 50 minutes today, there are, I would say, at least 50 pieces of content that you can create from this podcast. There are little bits and pieces that you can take, and you can put them on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on podcast platforms, of course, on Facebook and Pinterest. So that's your distribution. You want to look at what makes every platform tick. So for instance, looking at Pinterest and YouTube, looking at keywords, because Pinterest and YouTube are search engines before they are social media platforms. And then you're looking at Instagram and Facebook, maybe you want to run some ads to it. That would be one way, one thing to look at. The other thing would be your collaboration. So make sure that everybody that you invite on your podcast has a sheet of homework they need to do, which is, Sandra, make sure when this podcast comes out, you are sharing on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever. These are my handles. You want to tag me. You want to add me as a collaborator. La 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 la. So make sure that whoever you're inviting on a podcast becomes your collaborator, because now my audience becomes your audience. So then we're growing the audience together. If you don't have an email marketing list, create an email marketing list, so you can create all sorts of lead magnets and other information I can give away in exchange for an email list, and then just email people in your podcast. And invite podcasters on your podcast. Invite people that have a big audience and get them to advertise your podcast on their platform.
How do I get podcasters who have a bigger audience than me to agree to come onto my podcast?
You got to think about what you can offer them, and what is your value prop for them. Why would they come? Why would anyone come on a podcast, right? I wouldn't go to someone who's a lot bigger than you in terms of an audience, but try to like work your way up a little bit. Well, one way is, if you have a budget, is to pay them. If you don't have a budget to pay people, would be to offer something in return. So say, hey, look, I don't have a budget right now, but in return for you coming onto my podcast, I want to create content for you that you can use in their social media platform. But if you have, look at someone that has 10% more than your audience, right? And then for the next one, 10% more than your audience. For the next one, 10% more than your audience. And then you're going to grow like that. Baby steps.
It's awesome. Thank you very much. So who should I interview next?
Wow. Who should you interview next? That depends on what kind of content you want to share with your audience next. You try to interview Alex Hormozi.
I want to spread the word about, that people can have a full, rich life. It's not just about having money, but having those relationships, having the fun, and then keeping their health.
Yeah. Well, I would say I don't have a person in mind that I can say who should you interview next, but I would say go on Instagram and find some people that are not huge influencers, but maybe micro influencers, and they're talking about specifically this. How can you live a fulfilling, rich life that is beyond money? And say, hey, I love your content. I interview people very similar to you. I have an audience of people that are interested in talking about how to live a fulfilled life that goes beyond money. Would you like to be on my podcast? That's what I would do.
I think it can't get more straightforward. So it's simple. That doesn't mean it's easy.
No, it's not. Almost nothing is. Come on. It's simple to do squats 3 times a week. Is it easy? No, but it's simple. Think about it. Like, I want to build my legs. It's just, what is it? Yeah. 40 squats 3 times
It's so easy to say leg day. Sandra, where can people find you? So we've heard a wealth of stories, and we've heard all of your history and all the wonderful things that you can do for companies that you work with. How can they find you if they want to work with you or want to reach out to you?
The easiest place to find me would be on LinkedIn. I hang out there a lot. So if you look for Sandra Stepan on LinkedIn, I'm going to be there. If you want to go check out our website, it's snapadvantage.com. And you can check out what we've been up to lately. I don't guarantee my website will be updated by the time this is published. We're kind of working on it, but hopefully before the end of the year, the website will be updated. So either on LinkedIn, find me as Sandra Stepan, or Snapadvantage.com. Easy peasy.
Sandra, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been such a pleasure meeting you and learning about you and hearing about the wonderful things you and your husband are doing. I really appreciate you. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be on our podcast, and I'm looking forward to hearing your future episodes.